first half total over 17.5 points at even money. We're going to take the under in the second half, under 17.5 points.
We're going with Derrick Henry for an anytime touchdown. Deontay Johnson, over 59.5 receiving yards.
Third leg, we're going right back to Derrick Henry for the potential first third leg. Over 72.5 rushing yards. I mean, he's been really solid.
Will Levis, none other, over 201.5 passing yards. Look at that. Action Island's on a roll, and Gilles Gallant's having so much fun he had to join again. Welcome into Action Island alongside prop bet guy Tim Kalinowski, Gilles Gallant. I'm Megan Payton, here to give you guys another winning parlay. Look, if you're new to Action Island, now's the time to keep rolling. We're doing good. We're hot. 6-1 yesterday. Hit the parlay. 3 parlays this season for Action Island. Let's make it 4. Look, if you're new to the show, it's the place to be for parlays. Here's how it's going to work. Prop bet guy, Gilles and Tim, they're going to present a couple bets. This is presented by FanDuel. Action Island, always presented by FanDuel. Bet $5 on any money line. Get $150 in bonus bets if your team wins. All customers also get a profit boost every day and can get 3 months of the NBA League Pass on them. This is for new users in Arizona, Colorado, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, and Wyoming. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, so it's simple here. They're going to present a couple different bets for the weekend, and we're going to vote. I'm actually not going to vote this week because we're doing Dolphins-Chiefs. We're switching things up. And then at the end, you'll have a 3-leg same-game parlay. All right, so we got a Germany game, guys. It's Dolphins-Chiefs. It's one of the marquee matchups of Week 9. Tons of games on the slate. Chiefs are a slight favorite in this one. Look, lots of ways to go here. If the voting needs to happen and we go to a tiebreaker, we'll have the coin flip to determine where we're going. Tim, start us off. How are we approaching this Germany game for Chiefs Dolphins?
Well, my first bet is first half under 24.5 points. Look, don't go looking at the first half scoring metrics for either of these two teams. That's not the place to start because you might find them towards the top of the list. They are quick starters, both of them. But look, this is a lot to do with this travel overseas. We've had 3 games overseas so far this season, both with a team that went late and a team that was either already there, Jacksonville, or a team that went early. And that team that went late, this is going to be Kansas City. In this scenario, the first half under in those games is 2-1 towards the under. But that team that went late does not hold up their end of the deal. 10 total points between the 3 games. I think these teams kind of feel each other out, and especially trying to get on Kansas City starting slow in this one.
Tim, okay, what's with this? Like, the Chiefs are going to their Halloween party. Dolphins are like prepped in Germany a week early. And I guess Kansas City's like, whatever, we'll show up like Thursday evening, Friday morning, we'll be fine. Are you concerned about that a little bit?
100%. I 100% believe in this. I really think it's a thing. You look at Harbaugh, he went both ways. So in 2017, they went late, they had a dud. And then this year they went early and took care of business against Tennessee.
It seems like there's already a pretty clear path to starting out strong, but it is the Kansas City Chiefs. All right, that's our first option. You're going with the first half under. What's the second option for our first leg, Tim?
Well, you spoke to the Kansas City Chiefs, or I spoke to the Kansas City Chiefs. So let's go Patrick Mahomes over 22.5 rushing yards. Mahomes has gone over this number in every game but 2. And I'm thinking, when does Mahomes run? In big games and in games where the coverage breaks down, the coverage is too good. So he has to go make plays with his feet, buy time, move forward. In Miami, they're one of the best coverage teams of the NFL. They're 8th per PFF coverage grade. And then the other games this season in which he has, gone over this number in a large way is against Jacksonville, number 2 in PFF coverage grade, and the New York Jets, number 3. Also 2. We know that Patrick Mahomes, I said he does this in big games. What's a big game? A postseason game. Patrick Mahomes averages 81 attempts and, if you do the math, through 81 attempts, he has something like 400-ish yards. And so you break that down, that's 27.4 rushing yards a game. That's too much math for me, but you get the point. He goes over the number.
Absolutely. He's gone over in 6 of the games thus far. Only 2 kind of outliers. One last week against the Broncos in a game in which he was sick. And then there's that Minnesota game where he had 0. That's kind of like affecting his average. But 22.5, it feels like a number that it could be higher. Granted, like you expect him in this game to probably be under some pressure going up against the Dolphins defense that's going to cause some pressure, which means that what's Patrick Mahomes going to have to do? He's probably going to have to run the ball. All right, there's 2 options here for the first leg. Gilles, prop bet guy, you're going to have to decide. If not, we're bringing out the coin flip. We can go with the first half under 24.5 or Mahomes over 22.5 rushing yards. Let's vote. Okay, what are we thinking? Our first leg to this Germany game. What do you have? We've got the under. Oh, come on. See, okay, I will say this. I feel like the juju's with us whenever we can all agree, but maybe the coin flip can determine this. Again, I can't vote on this AFC West, so let's bring out the coin flip. Mahomes over, it is over 22.5 rushing yards. Hey, I'll say this. It kind of feels correlated, right? Because if the Chiefs are going to come out a little bit slower, given the fact that they waited forever to travel, it's not like you're going to see maybe these like long downfield passes. You would still see maybe the same thing of Mahomes feeling pressure running the ball. As always, feel free to make however many legs you want in this parlay. We're going to stick with Mahomes over his rushing yards at 22.5. Gilles, what was your thought process in this one?
Sure. So this Miami defense, the way that they're structured, they get a lot of defensive line pressure with Bradley Chubb and Phillips and Christian Wilkins, and they sit back in their secondary. Well, one of the things about that is if they're not going to get separation, that means Mahomes is likely going to have to take it upon himself. And one of the stats that Mahomes has is in rushes on plays designed as a pass. So that means that he went back for a drop back and then took off with the ball. That has happened now 24 times this year with Patrick Mahomes. That's second in the NFL behind Lamar Jackson with 31. And when he takes off with the ball, he's averaging 10.1 yards per carry on those plays. So for me, that's the reason why I went with it. That said, that 24.5 did scare me a little because that is kind of a key number here. And I think that's probably where PBG is going.
Right. And again, I mean, Mahomes doesn't need a ton of carries in order for this to go over. As you mentioned, he can average over 10 per attempt. Now, prop bet guy, you like the under. Why were you going that route over the Mahomes?
Yeah, I actually surprised myself with this one because I'm one of the biggest quarterback rushing prop opponents on the planet. But I really do like the angle that Tim talked about in terms of the international travel. I mean, neither of these teams really have traveled internationally much over the past few years. Miami's an East Coast team. They have a pretty easy travel schedule. Kansas City, decently easy as well. If anything, they're actually going the other way towards the West Coast for their divisional games. But yeah, I think these teams are going to fill each other out. I do think, look, it's easy to know that these offenses are just absolutely, fantastic in terms of, being top 5 offenses in the NFL, but the defenses on both sides actually don't get enough credit, especially the Chiefs defense. I think they're also they're also a top 5 unit. I think there's going to be a lot of feeling each other out. I think the Chiefs are going to have to see how the Dolphins are going to defend Kelce. And then on the flip side, I think the Dolphins are going to have to see how the Chiefs defend Tyreek. So I do think there will be points. I just think they'll be coming in the second half in this one.
Right.
And Megan,
yeah.
I just wanted to clean up while we were here. It's through 14 postseason games, he averages 4.7 rush attempts in those games for an average of 27.4 yards. Finally cleaned up my chicken scratch over here.
Hey, there we go. And that makes us, even look more towards that over 22.5. And look, there's 2 great options here. We're going to roll with Mahomes over 22.5 rushing yards. Feel free to build it however you like. And by the way, I meant to say this on the last one. If you guys change up the parlay or have any other suggestions of the legs, feel free to tweet us, tag Action Network. Let us know what you're going to be rolling with for this Germany game. All right, I digress. Gilles, touchdowns. You're all over them. You host the touchdown show on Sundays. What are we looking at for the end zone in Germany, Dolphins-Chiefs?
All right, Megan. Well, we're going to keep it real simple. We're going to start off with Tyreek Hill for an anytime touchdown because he's got touchdowns in 7 to 8 games. leads the NFL with 20-yard receptions, and he's got touchdowns over 35 yards. He's got 4 of those this year. That's first in the NFL. But the reason why we still like Tyreek in this spot is he's also tied for the league lead in receptions inside the 10-yard line. So it's not just all you think about with Tyreek is those bombs over the top, but Tua looks for him when they get into the red zone. They use him a little bit everywhere. You know he's going to get probably 12 to 13 touches in this game. And you know also he's going to be out for blood in this kind of revenge game proverbial aspect here. So Tyreek Hill, anytime touchdown will be the first option. And then the next option, again, keeping it simple, Travis Kelce, anytime touchdown, leads the team in red zone targets and touchdowns. Pretty much any relevant receiving category, Travis Kelce's at the top of the list for the Chiefs. And he has scored in each game this year after a week where he didn't score last week. Now, obviously, Kelce is mostly matchup proof, but this is a game really tailor-made for him as well because the Dolphins are 28th in DVOA to tight ends. They're bottom 5 in catches, yards, and touchdowns to the position. Wouldn't be surprised if both Kelce and Noah Gray have some chances in the end zone, but Travis Kelce, this is where we're going if it's a shootout. So Travis Kelce, anytime touchdown, or Tyreek Hill, anytime touchdown for the game in Germany.
Both at -145. We'll have to see if Travis Kelce's girlfriend's coming. He wouldn't divulge that. He said it changes the odds too much. Kelce, a betting man? Who knew? Tyreek Hill, though, good angle here. Revenge spot. You know, there's going to be that extra fuel for the Cheetah, who's already been playing lights out. I mean, my goodness, he's got over 1,000 yards on the year. He's killing it with touchdowns. 13 red zone targets for Tyreek Hill. Can't really go wrong with either of these two. Either way, got to get to a final second leg. Prop bet guy, Tim, are we going with Tyreek or Travis Kelce? Start voting. Can we agree this time? Oh, Tim back with the drawings. He saw that Charlie was getting involved and said, wait. I need to get in here. Okay. All right. So we agree. Shake it off. And Kelce, I feel like there we go. Fine. Everyone's in agreement here. Tim, does this mean that you've got some inside scoop? Is our girl Taylor Swift going to be at this game?
I mean, we can only hope, right? I mean, I look, everyone says they can't stand it on the broadcast. I love it. You know, these games, they can sometimes get a little monotonous between kickoff, commercial, like, you know, I don't mind throwing a little Tay in there, but I will say, when I looked at this, the only reason I didn't go Hill here, and, you know, it's tough to choose one of these, but I didn't go Hill because earlier this year, I took Ezekiel Elliott to score against the Dallas Cowboys when the Patriots played them for the revenge reason. And, the Patriots were pretty much allergic to the end zone in that game, as they've been all season. So I felt like I got burned from the revenge thing once, and I'm not going back.
Fair enough. Look, again, both of these players at -145. They're both going to be the most dominant player on these offenses. If there's going to be points, which you'd expect with the Miami Dolphins and the Kansas City Chiefs, you'd expect for one of these to get in the end zone. Prop bet guy, what was your take on Kelce over Tyreek Hill?
Yeah, I personally don't really care who's in attendance for this one for the reasoning why I went with Kelce. But yeah, I just think that the Kelce has a better matchup in this one. I think the Chiefs are a little bit better equipped to guard Tyreek Hill, even though he's been absolutely matchup proof all season. Wouldn't shock me if both these guys scored. Actually, I'd be kind of surprised if both of them didn't score.
Right.
But in this one, yeah, I think, you know, the Chiefs get creative in the red zone, and they tend to keep the ball in Mahomes' hands as opposed to banging it in with Pacheco. So I do like Kelce to get a few more looks in this one, but I really do like both guys.
It's all Chiefs right now, over 22.5 rushing yards for Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce to get in the end zone. Prop bet guy, are we sticking with the Chiefs? What else do you got for us for the third leg?
Yeah, so I am sticking with the Chiefs on the receiving end. And I'm actually going to be going with, on my first option, the rookie receiver who's kind of emerged as their top wide receiver, Rashid Rice. So over 3.5 receptions. Look, the Chiefs offense, you take Kelce out of the equation in terms of wide receivers. It's an offense that's actually surprisingly littered with very inefficient options. And one of the most efficient guys, not only on the Chiefs, but in the NFL, has been Rashid Rice. He's finally getting a bigger role. He's seen at least a 60% route share the last 2 games. I mean, I think most people would agree he's deserving of even more. That's not our call. That's obviously Andy Reid's call. I'm not going to kind of envision a bigger role for him. That might not come to fruition. But with the role secure now as a starter, he is over this line in 5 of his last 6 games, and he does play predominantly out of the slot, meaning he will avoid Jalen Ramsey in the individual matchup and Xavier Howard if Xavier Howard does wind up playing in this one. The Dolphins have been a little susceptible to slot receivers over the past few weeks, so I do like Rice to continue on the upward trend that he's been on.
In a Chiefs receiving room that feels a little bit questionable at times, you feel like Rashid Rice is kind of emerging as that top receiver, aside from obviously tight end Travis Kelce. His targets and his receptions are going up a bit, and he even had over this number last week in a struggling offensive performance. He's gone over in 5 of the last 6. What's the second option for the third leg?
Yeah, so Kelce, obviously the number 1 option in this passing offense. Rashid Rice has become the number 2. But if I told you that Justin Watson is the 3rd leading receiver for the Chiefs, would you believe me? Well,
No.
you kind of have to, because he is. That's what the stats say, at least. So I like this. I like Justin Watson over 18.5 receiving yards. I'm actually playing this one on its own for 1 unit. He has hit this in 5 of 7 games this season. In each of those 5, he had 40+ receiving yards. One of the games he missed, he did leave early due to an injury, and that was actually the wind-impacted game versus Denver. He's over this line in general in 11 of the last 14 games he's played where he's seen at least 2 targets. He ran 19 routes last week, expecting him to get back to the 20 to 25 range that he was at pre-injury. And he's over the last 2 years is averaging a target for every 8.5 routes he's run. So I see him getting 3, maybe even 4 targets in what should be a fast-paced passing oriented game. And look, 18.5 yards. He averages over the last 2 seasons over 20 yards per catch. This conceivably is just 1 catch for him. But I do like him. You know, he's kind of the king of getting open when the play does break down with Mahomes, and Mahomes is flushed out of the pocket. So I like Watson to step up in this one. I do think, you know, that's going to be a bit back and forth. And I think or at least I'm hoping Andy Reid and Mahomes kind of use the guys who have been working better, with Watson being one of those guys. So I like Watson over 18.5 yards. I like this a lot.
The big thing here is that you don't need a lot of receptions. You could absolutely hit this in 1 catch. He averages over 21 yards per reception. Yet, okay, I do want to follow up though. Is this at all a fade on like Sky Moore?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I am. Yeah,
That's a fade.
Sky Moore is one of the least efficient receivers in the NFL. No disrespect to him, but that's what the numbers say. So yes, I do see guys like Watson and Rice stepping up today.
That's what I feel like right now. The Chiefs are kind of, and I know like this was the Hawks last year too, but there's a lot of discussion on this receiver room, and there's a lot of discussion on who's that next man up. And look, 18.5 receiving yards going over this doesn't mean that you're the next man up. He could absolutely like drop 4 of his passes, catch 1, and go over this number. But it is interesting when you just kind of like look big picture for this pass catching room in Kansas City, which has kind of been a struggle for them. Look, there's 2 receivers that got to make plays this weekend if they want to connect with Mahomes. It's Rashid Rice over 3.5 receptions, or go with Justin Watson over 18.5 receiving yards. Jill, Tim, get to voting. The rookie or the vet, who are you guys rolling with? We keep the drawings going. So Watson it is. What's happening there, Tim?
Okay, 99. That would be JJ Watt.
Yes.
A little thing next to him. What would that be? That'd be Watt's son.
It's too much. It's too much. But congratulations. Charlie Disturgo, did you see this one? Uh-oh, we're gonna have to do a little art competition. Very creative, very creative. Shout out JJ Watt for that one. TJ Watt, you guys can see that. Pull a little social clip. All right, we're going with Justin Watson over 18.5 receiving yards, averaging over 37 per game. As we mentioned, he can go over this in 1, 2 catches, doesn't matter. And in a game that you'd expect to be somewhat high scoring, maybe it takes the second half to get those points. Patrick Mahomes is going to be looking for those guys to step up. Tim, what were your thoughts with Watson and the amazing drawing over Rashid Rice?
Well, I'm a little nervous about what Mecole Hardman's role is going to look like back with the Chiefs. And so I don't really know. I don't really know who he's going to who's going to be on the short end of the stick out of Chiefs pass catchers. But I was talking to Gilles about just props in this game in general, and he told me that Watson's A-dot, for those that don't know, A-dot, average depth of target, is insane. So that's why I landed on Watson.
Fair enough. Gilles, you're in agreement as well. Why did you choose Watson over Rice?
You're muted, my guy.
I know. It's because I was doing a ton of research here off to the side. So here's why I like Watson over Rice. It's not that I don't think Watson can't get 4 or Rice can't get 4 catches. It's right now that the separation for all of this Kansas City Chiefs wide receivers, they're all below average right now compared to the most wide receivers in the NFL. It's just not getting as much separation. So I'm a little worried about Mahomes, if whether or not he'll force it to him in this spot, whereas I know he'll force it to Kelce. But with Watson, leads the team in A-dot, it's over 20. The average for a wide receiver is anywhere between 10 to 13. So again, you're getting a huge value there. But the other thing too is that he only has 12 catches this year. Only 3 of them have been by 20 yards or less. So I expect this to actually hit in one pass.
Hey, I mean, guys, did we realize that this is all Chiefs? So it was kind of accidental, but now you guys are the voting. And so maybe I shouldn't have shown you my shirt that I had on today. It's going to be a fun one out in Germany. Let's recap where we're at. We're throwing in the Justin Watson over 18.5 receiving yards. You parlay this with Mahomes over 22.5 rushing yards, Travis Kelce anytime touchdown, Justin Watson over 18.5 receiving yards. You're at plus 453 on FanDuel Sportsbook. It's Dolphins, it's Chiefs, it's in Germany, 9:30 a.m. Eastern. Set your alarms, get on your couch, get ready for a fun, full slate of Week 9 NFL. Tim, Gilles, prop bet guy, let's go get another parlay on Action Island. Good luck this weekend. We'll see you here next time.